Hi, I'm Mark Diano.
And I'm Desiree Hadley, and welcome to episode 6 of Hold the Line with Mayor Baraka. Now, Mayor, today we're talking about COVID-19, the renaming of Washington Park, and the bridge development that is going to take place, which will connect the Mulberry Commons with the Penn Station. So, Mark, you want to lead into question number 1?
Yeah, let's start with the COVID, Mayor. At this point, there's a lot of COVID fatigue. You know, people talking about it, hearing about it, and just the other day internally, you reminded your directors we're still going to have these calls 2 times a day to talk about it. How difficult is it for you to continue to push this rock up the hill and make people understand this is still a danger to the community? And is there a certain frustration that comes with that?
Well, it's been difficult from the very beginning because of all of the mixed messages, the misinformation, the lack of leadership nationally. It's been very difficult, probably for every mayor in this country. It's been getting more difficult because people are getting tired of the restrictions and everything that they have to do in order to stay safe. And, so more and more people, in fact, last night, one of my friends texted me that, you got to defend me all the time. People said, dog, he closing things down again? Because people they're ready to go on with their lives. But ultimately, as long as this virus is here, we have to continue to do this to make sure that people are safe, especially the vulnerable amongst us.
We started back with the Be Still Mondays.
Right.
So can you just explain why that's still important? And for people, like you said, people are getting annoyed with it. Why is that still important for those people who probably just tired?
First, let me say, Essex County is in the top 10 counties in the nation in terms of deaths from COVID-19. Essex County. We obviously lead Essex County. That just came out in USA Today. It's what's happening here is more advanced than what's happening in other parts of the country. We were the second hardest hit. Obviously, things have gotten a lot better since they have identified that, but we don't want to go back there, and that is what we're fighting for, so we don't go back to where we came from. Be Still Mondays, the data proved to us that it actually works. So what happens is all of the essential workers that are serving people get to go home. They get to be home with their family, they get the social distance, they get the quarantine, and not be around strangers all day who have the potential of infecting them. And them in turn infecting other people in the restaurant or store or beauty parlor or whatever. And then allowing the virus to continue to grow. So we do this so people can go home early, so we can shut the city down, people can get away from one another. And we continue to do that every Monday, and we're going to do it until the numbers go back. And we may add days onto it.
Do you see curfew making a comeback too? The curfew that started in the beginning of the pandemic?
Right, I hope not. Obviously that'll be one of the last things that we incorporate right now. We're going to do Be Still Monday, and then we'll add other days if necessary. We'll add Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, and if we have to go all week, we will.
Mayor, go back to that USA article, USA Today. I read that article, and I was a little dismayed that they did not talk at all about our mitigating work. The sanitization of the senior centers, getting the homeless people sequestered, the 2.1 million meals that we've sent out to keep people home, and there's untold lives saved in those measures.
Right.
Did you have that same reaction to the article?
Well, I knew what they were trying to do. They were trying to point out how segregation created a perfect storm for a virus to ravage a community. That's what they were talking about, and how Essex County is probably the most segregated county in the entire state of New Jersey, and making that point to show how COVID had a different response in different communities. But what they failed to point out is what you're saying, is how we mitigated that. So from then to now, how in the midst of all of that difficulty, all of those odds, we were able to not only just reduce it, but flatten the curve in Newark because of the things that you mentioned. And it's continued to be down. Even though we're witnessing spikes now, it is certainly not 68% where we were in March and April. In April, we were getting 30, 40 people dying a day, right? So people can't fathom that kind of reality, and people are going to write about that because it's so stark that you get 30 people dying a day. It's a lot. It's a lot, and so it needs to be remembered in a sense so people will understand this is where we were, and we cannot go back there because 30 might be small to you. Yeah, but there are 30 families who do not have a loved one in one day because of this virus. And God bless you if it wasn't your family, but it was somebody's.
Right.
Okay.
So, all right, so moving on to the park. So in the State of the City address, you announced that you will be renaming Washington Park to Harriet Tubman, what is it?
Square.
Square, right, that's what I thought, Square. So I know, Mark, you had a question about that, right?
You know, this always becomes a Columbus,
Sure.
an Italian thing.
Yeah, I'm getting all kind of
whatever.
emails, man.
Right, right.
Beating me up bad.
Well, see, I take exception to it to some degree because as a Revolutionary War historian, that do whatever you want with Columbus, Mayor, but don't throw Washington out, right?
Yeah.
So and nationally, I think that's going to be where you get some blowback nationally. Is like you're changing the name from Tubman, you're taking Washington out of the equation.
Sure.
He's a sacred figure, right? Have you thought about maybe calling it Washington Tubman Park because there's freedom on both ends?
Well, no. Many of those old Revolutionary War heroes and first presidents owned slaves. So it is important that Tubman is the reverse of all of the stuff that was going on. And I think what's making it more poignant is that Harriet Tubman actually walked down there. Mm-hmm. George Washington was never there. Yeah. Neither was Christopher Columbus. Harriet Tubman actually was in that area, mm-hmm. which makes it more viable to name it after her, because she was there.
And kids need to know that Harriet Tubman was in our city.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, people don't know that. They don't know that the old First Presbyterian was a stop on the Underground Railroad, mm-hmm. right? It was an actual real stop.
Yeah, it ties into the history of Newark better than Washington Park.
Yeah, it taps definitely into the and these are white abolitionists. You know what I'm saying? These are folks, religious community who thought slavery was wrong and worked hard to harbor slaves and get them to their freedom. And I think that history is more important than anything else in New Jersey.
In the time that I've covered the city and known you, I know that you are you're very attuned to maintaining the architectural integrity of the city, and that you want these guys, these developers, downtown especially, to redevelop historic buildings, not just tear them down and
right.
put up glass and steel. Will you be able to weigh in on the architecture of that bridge so that it keeps your vision of what the downtown should look like?
Sure. They are now, what you see now is just kind of envisioning what it would look like, right? And so the architecture firm and all of those folks, they're doing a feasibility study, they're doing everything that's necessary, and they'll put everything that's necessary to keep the character of that community intact when they build that. Absolutely.
So you're going to eyeball that. You're going to be able to rubber stamp it as mayor.
Yeah, me and a whole bunch of other people. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Absolutely. That is on that. To make sure. And the zoning board and everybody else has to. When they take a look at it, they have to make sure that it keeps the character of the neighborhood.
How would you describe that character? What would you, when you say in your mental picture, what does it look like to you?
Well, I mean, in the modernization of the kind of industrial, city that was developed out of a city developed in an area where there's a port, where there's transportation, where there's all those things where many people come together and meet because of all of the transportation that brings people together. So that grittiness, that kind of old industrial feel, I think we should keep that, but a modernization of it, absolutely.
Brick.
Yeah, brick and steel.
So speaking on the Mulberry Commons development, it took 14 years for the park to come about. right? 14 years, a few different administrations. So speaking from the standpoint of like the average Norker, that seems slow moving to someone like me, you know?
It is slow moving.
So, right. So, and like being a millennial and like living here and wanting to enjoy Newark the way I might go to Hoboken and enjoy like dinner, you know?
Right.
What do you say to millennials who want to live here and want to enjoy that atmosphere, but we don't, what is stopping that development from taking place downtown, you know?
Well, nothing. It's in the process of happening now. There's a lot of development that's in the pipeline now, and the bridge is a part of it. The bridge is not going to take 15 years. The reason that most development takes about 18 months, right? The reason the development is difficult in some instances is because they try to fill in gaps in financing that's difficult to find. And then you have different players involved, especially in downtown community. You have different players, different owners involved. They have to get together in order to parcel properties together to get the acreage that you need. So you're dealing with multiple people. And multiple people is usually hard to deal with. And most people would rather just throw their hands in the air and walk away, which is what happened at the park. And say, I can't deal with these people. They won't talk, they're crazy. And it takes a different kind of personality to get people together and force them to do the things that you need them to do. And so I don't think the bridge is going to take that long. You know, we are, matter of fact, we had the funding mechanism already in place. The problem was COVID, right? So, which inhibited some of our funding mechanism, but we're trying to find other ways to get that done faster because the parking tax is the funding mechanism, long-term parking, and because people are not coming to work and traveling and doing different things, the parking tax revenue is down. So we don't suspect that to be down forever, but in the meantime, we are identifying other sources of revenue so that can happen.
So so speaking about, you said the bridge is not going to take too long
No.
to develop. So what would you say is the blame for the, I guess like the nightlife development of downtown? Like since we don't have much of that, you know, downtown Newark.
Well, most of it is down on Ferry. We're trying to move it up to Broad, to this area, University Avenue. I think that Halsey Street has picked a little bit of it up. You know, the stuff that's happening on Broad and Market when Four Corners is developed, when it's finished, that will bring the kind of nightlife that's there. There are a lot of commercial properties that need to be moved in, but the cost in outfitting it and beginning to pay what the lease is for the first 6 to 7 months, which is usually the issue, becomes a problem if you're not getting big retail places to come in, big commercial places to come in. You know, when you want to get the character, the different feel of what's going on, you have to get people to believe in investing in that area. And it takes 2 or 3 people to do it first, like Just Be Claus, and then other folks gotta join in and make it happen. And you have to have the walking traffic downtown. You have to bring the people, University Avenue and all those college students, we have to bring them past Halsey Street and University Avenue, down on Broad and Market, and bring people up from Ferry, and then all of the folks like yourself and everybody else who go everywhere else, we have to bring that walking traffic here to make businesses understand that they can make money in a downtown area. And it is possible. You know, when Four Corners is finished, when the other things that begin to happen, I think you'll see some changes in that.
That's all the time we have, Mayor. But I hope that next week we can go back to the bridge and talk about the homeless plan, because I know that's a big, important part of that plan.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.